But I mean, I guess I'm not as concerned with the road right away. And they're still not allowing parking on the road, because that would clearly be a major problem at that point. But I mean, I think they did the new sidewalks downtown here, the road right away is narrower than that, especially from the parking. It's a much narrower, where you try to go just right here out front. So I mean,
I kind of disagree with that, actually. You know, I live on a street that is 24 feet wide, and in the winter it gets extremely narrow. And you know, it's probably not appropriate, especially when people start parking on the street. And I know the subdivision's going to outlaw that with the homeowners association, but how long does it take to actually have somebody come out and force somebody to move their car or to get a tow truck out there? It's, you know, I don't know if that's the, yeah, I have a hard time getting over that one.
So are we back to a motion with additional reworking, or where would you stand on that, Liz?
I'm open to the perspectives of the commission.
It's like we might be the.
well, I guess, I mean, we want to, our choices are obviously approve with conditions, or to, as we have in the past, give the applicant a chance to revise, or you can deny. I'd say we have basically three options. And there may be other ones if anybody's got any other ideas, but those are the core ones. I mean, obviously there's other conditions if we wanted to address it with an approval with extra conditions. That's a possibility as well. But I think some of that would, if we did that, I believe it'd be much, pretty much a big redraw, which we wouldn't really want to do that. We want to see it pretty much close to its final product, barring whatever Morgan needs on the engineering. But they typically work out the finite details later. So we have, I would say, those three options.
So it sounds like approving with conditions and writing new conditions is beyond the scope of what we could be comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with a flat out denial.
I agree with that. I think there's room for still improving and getting this to go through.
I agree with
Liz,
that too.
Liz, I think you were summarizing those alleviations pretty well there in the beginning, with kind of the minimum street frontage and narrow roads as being the primary ones to address. I think that was how you stated that.
So how are we phrasing it? Looking at
Well,
potential motion number 3 to allow time for staff and the applicant to provide more information.
I mean, you could phrase it similar and just for updating or potential modifications. I mean,
Provide more information on alleviating or eliminating these two alleviations. Can you word it like that?
Eliminating these two.
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
I move to continue PUD 2304 and subdivision 2303 to the July 2nd meeting to allow time
I'm
for
gonna
staff.
be honest, I don't think staff is gonna have time to get through whatever it is for July. I just have to be honest. Sorry.
Perfect. So August 6th? Is that the next one?
I think we could work with that.
Okay, cool. I move to continue PUD 2304 and subdivision 2303 to the August 6th meeting to allow time for staff and the applicant to provide alternatives to address the road right of way and the minimum street frontage concerns.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ryan, let's do roll call.
Hey, Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Petty,
Yes.
Rock,
Yes.
Pinzer,
Yes.
Commissioner Pop.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, now we'll move on to the next item for PUD 2305 and subdivision 2304. That's 520 First Street, and we have Darren and can't remember the other name, applicants, if you'd like to come up, and I guess we can.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Even though there is room in the Woodmore project to come back and provide additional information about alternatives to alleviate the alleviation requests, those same factors don't apply in the Blackwell application. We request that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that it be approved and forward that to City Council. There's no reason it needs to be held up for 2 months. Happy to answer any questions.
So there was no, remember, right, no real major changes on this applicant.
We changed the parking depth.
The parking, okay, that's right, the parking depth on this
We
one.
had a parking depth issue.
The building count was the same.
Was that last month?
We turned.
Last month or?
We went through
this
both.
lot, this house right here, turned it and got enough room on the side to move that road this way so that we had the 22 feet for parking to the street, to the house.
Okay,
And that was basically the only issue. You guys were pretty much ready to approve that one, but that was the hang up on this one. So we went back and adjusted that, moved it, gave yourself more room so there was nobody hanging out in the street.
okay.
Let me cover this real quick. You could, actually, no, let's just start on slide number 3, because slide number 2 was the zoning map. Nothing changed.
Yeah.
Blackwell, we still got our six residences. And Rick's right. What we did was an improvement that even the client agreed that this was a good change, actually. So what we did, you forced us to think outside the box. We rotated and slid this unit, this home, to the southeast corner. That enabled that driveway to have enough depth, and we were able to slide this entire road to the southeast 2 feet. So we gained, because unlike Woodmore, the garage space is flush with the exterior of the building. So 20-foot setback, 20-foot driveway. We wanted more than that. So we gained 2 more feet. The front setback by code, 20 feet. That's still, we're still adhering to that, but our buildings are set back 22 feet to allow a 22-foot parking stall. And of course, the curved driveway is even deeper than that on that 6th unit on the southeast corner. So the 5 across the back, they all have 22 feet or greater. There's a little bit more on the end units because they just have a longer driveway. The other revision that we did, small but mighty, we widened the building gap from 10 feet to 12 feet. We could do it. So we took added a foot on each side of all those 5. We actually did tall of them. So even this one that's 5 feet, or sorry, 6 feet from building side to the property. And what that does is it's a small change, but it's feel it. So you won't be looking at a 10-foot gap. You'll be looking at a 12-foot gap between all 5 of those buildings. So those are the 2 major changes that we made to this one. They're small, but even the client team that's a good change. We got more parking depth for the driveway, and we just increased the width between the homes. Next slide, please. Yeah, it's the same exhibit that we had before, but we changed that to a big red 22. So just showing you that we increased those to 22 feet. The garage depth inside the garage remains the same, it's 23 feet depth, and we got some vehicle length examples to show that, yeah, we can fit a regular to large size vehicle in this. Next slide, please. One more crest. The reason we did that is the secondary access. So if both projects exist, you got access here and they are connected, and then you got an access out. Blackwell, of course, if Blackwell is approved, it stands on its own 2 feet. And Woodmore Crest is delayed, you still have, on Blackwell, you have that fire department turnaround. So that would exist should Woodmore not, right? And that's of course legally binding agreements. Actually, it wouldn't be because it's all on our property. So sorry, I said that. The whole entire fire department turnaround would exist on the Blackwell site. Should Blackwell exist without Woodmore? Sorry to confuse. Next slide, please.
Where is that turnaround?
If, let's go 2 more slides. I hope, oh, yeah, you can see it right there. So that, thank you. 120-foot fire department turnaround right there. And so you would not stripe, we would pave those parking stalls. You would not stripe them as parking stalls because it would be dominated by the turning template of a emergency vehicle or fire engine or any vehicle that's going back in there and needs to turn around. We would leave that gravel. I would hope that it'd be temporary and Woodmore's coming and be delayed.
Yeah, we're committed to Woodmore. I mean, all I want to say is we're going to be part, both these units are both going to complete. We're not backing out of Woodmore by no means, and leaving these guys standing on their 6 lots. No matter what we have to do and adjustments we're making the adjustments we're asked to do on the other one, so that we're committed to these people also to be part of their subdivision and then be part of our amenities. So I mean, I appreciate the, fact that you guys are tabling us again, but we'll go back, make the adjustments. And I wish we could get through the July one because I could get the adjustments done and back to staff. That staff would, I know how we could fix it. You know how we can fix it. I need 5 days to fix it. These guys work hard for me. And that way there's not any issues. We'll just move forward, fix the stuff, fix the streets. I don't want you to get hung up on the turnaround on this because Woodmore's coming. It's just going to take a little time, is what I'm asking.
And what Rick's trying to say, we're very cognizant of the construction season.
Yes.
Right? And the snow's coming. So,
yeah. And I'd like to get this thing dirt moved and pipe in the ground and covered up before winter so that next spring we're paving and asphalt. So, but approving this one will just be the start of getting that one done too. So don't worry, it's coming.
Agreed. But they both do stand on their own 2 feet.
Correct.
Okay, so this is, it's not much content here. There's one a nice tree that Kurt Wolf identified, and that's being preserved. It's in the southwest corner where we got a little triangular open space area. And so just that's all that flight is representing. We got 100% quality trees preserved. There it is, the grading plan. So it's identifying that one tree that Kurt Wolf identified, and that's in a safe area where no one's going to harm it. Slide, please. Snow storage, and just prove it again. The city's got the formula, what's required. We've got 3,000 square feet. We've got more than that. Looks like triple that for the snow areas. And there is, these areas are covering up, there's going to be plantings in there, right? So you can't just kill a bush with the landscape plan, because we do have a nice drought tolerant landscape plan to go along with these subdivisions, but that whole area can be used as snow storage. Yeah, okay. 3 alleviations on this one. Minimum street frontage, same as Woodmore. Minimum lot size. So the lot size is actually not a problem on Woodmore because the effective lot size is actually more than 5,000 square feet. It's the street frontage, but both on this one, the lot size and the street frontage both factor into an alleviation. We have our half building height rule. What you don't see here, and what I got wrong on the last one, was the road right away. Because in my mind, it's completely resolved, which I think it's resolved because we've done a 60-foot path through there. I could very easily turn on a line. You have a 60-foot wide right of way for your road, and it's problem solved. We discussed that that's just not a good idea. It's just too messy for the plat. We left it off. We have a 24-foot wide common lot on a 24-foot wide road. So as far as I'm concerned, that code alleviation does not exist because it's resolved. So that's the 4th one when I was incorrect about that last hearing. So you got that 4th one there. Is it complied with? My answer is yes. Maybe your answer is no, but there's 3 and the 4th one being the road right of way width, 60 foot, but we got a 60 foot swap there that we could easily comply with. And that's why it's insignificant to us. Questions? We got more slides, but they're just from the last presentation that was more complete, and it started from the top to bottom, amenities, the type of thing. We really just focused on the stuff that changed. So, any questions, guys, for Blackwell?
And Blackwell's CCNRs reflect that they're doing the same snow removal that we're doing up in Woodville. It'll be the same scenario, driveways, sidewalks and everything. And that development will be taken care of by the HOA.
Okay. Because I think it's a good plan.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for the applicant at this point? Okay, thank you. All right, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
All righty, thank you. Mine's PUD 2305, subdivision 2304, located at 500 First Street. Again, this one, been in front of you a couple times now. In March, then in May, now into your recommending body on this. Even City Council. That's me vote for public hearing, refer to the applicant. My turn, then we'll have public comment, rebuttal, more information, more questions, close the public hearing, deliberate, make a motion for recommendation. This is 6 dwelling units on 0.82 acres. It's zoned 8 units per acre, and the current land use designation is medium density residential. It is right back here, First and Railroad and Washington. In order to grant a PUD, you must find that the underlying zoning is met except for the alleviations requested as part of the PUD. They are. The proposed uses shall not be detrimental to present and potential surrounding uses or health, safety, general welfare, considering site facilities features, which this is. It's consistent with comprehensive plan and similar to surrounding uses. The density shall be considered as a whole in substantial conformity with the underlying zoning, which it is. It is less than 8 units per acre as well. The variation in zone requirements must be warranted by the design and amenities incorporated in the preliminary plan, which are still below the minimum street frontage, right of way width, depending on how you find private right of way. The garage door standards, this one is in compliance with, I should have crossed that one out. It is not compliant with the half-height building rule. The buildings have not changed from the previous version. The block configuration has widened slightly, so there is an extra foot on each of the side setbacks. The amenities proposed: benches, an outdoor gym along railroad pathway, and then access to the gym pickleball courts. With Blackwell, with Woodmore. Should that come along. The planned unit development must meet the general objectives of McCall area comprehensive plan and matches future land use map. Infill, there are bicycle and pedestrian improvements. Existing and proposed streets must be adequate for the proposed development. They're proposing to do improvements to First Street, the water and sewer and power lines in the area. They are required to provide development agreement prior to going to City Council. And they are not proposing any zoning or comprehensive plan amendments with PUD. Subdivision is generally consistent with the Title 3, Title 9, and comprehensive plan. As conditioned within the staff report, is consistent with plans. So you must find the site is physically suitable for the type of development. It's got a little bit of topography, not a ton. Same, but for density, same thoughts. Subdivision or proposed improvements likely cause environmental damage. There is not much that indicates that it will be environmentally damaging. They're retaining the one significant tree identified on site. It's unlikely to cause serious health problems. There are no known easement issues and there are no violations of other city or county. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Don't think this part had changed since last time, but the height, how much, that's still basically the same as what we looked at before.
Maximum height is slightly higher now because they are an extra foot off the side property lines, but yeah, the building.
So they reduced it a little bit from last time. Okay, so it has been some reduction to that. Okay.
Yeah, Brian, I'm just wondering about the minimum lot size, the alleviation for that. What is the reduction in lot size that's being asked for?
So the lots range from 2,800 to 2,588 square feet. The minimum standard in the R8 zone is 5,000 square feet.
So half, a little
Yeah.
more than half.
There is common area open space around the lots that is worth something.
But it's a combination, right? It's a formula, right, Brian?
Yeah, yeah, so there's a formula in code that you take the private lots, the common lots, and road right of way, and blend it all together, get an average, and it comes out right around 5,000 square feet. That is somewhere in your staff report.
So under that understanding, there really isn't a minimum lot size alleviation. Is that correct? Okay.
Any other questions for Brian this time? All right, Morgan.
Hello, commissioners. Similar as the last project, I sent an engineering review update this afternoon. Again, I think most of the comments that they've been addressing are more focused on the planning side of things. So not much has changed on the engineering side, but most of my comments were for final engineering approval. They're more of those really detailed portions that you get into after you finalize your site plan. So I don't have too many concerns. We have the same recommendations for like the impacts that are generated by this project. It is less than Woodmore, but they are still proposing to rebuild First Street from Colorado to First Street from Colorado to Railroad. So they're part of that agreement as well. And improving that to the same standard as Woodmore, so the separated drive lanes, the separated bike path, and then the drainage swales on each side. That's most of my comments for this. I did have some stormwater comments for this project on the ultimate location of where the stormwater ends up and verifying which detention basin it goes into. Depending on where that's located, it might require more engineering up front, but there's options for how they get there and what they do with that. It's just a little bit more work to show that offsite work that needs to be done. That is generally my comments. There's capacity on the roadway with these proposed improvements. The intersections function well. Similar condition that the 3rd Street and Colorado intersection is limited by that eastern approach of Colorado Street, which is across the highway, as detailed in their traffic impact study. Yeah, so there's a general overview. Please let me know if you have any questions.
I'm pretty sure these roads are the same 24-foot from back to curb.
Correct.
If there was an approval on this one and there was some changes below that, if there was any potential small changes to that, would that be something under your final engineering approval that could be addressed?
If Woodmore has wider streets than Blackwell.
Yeah.
I think it could be, or it would maybe a funky design of like a necking down It's between the two subdivisions, since they are separate projects.
If it's something minor, it still could be done under your,
It could be.
okay.
If Woodmore gets delayed further, can't come to an agreement, do the First Street improvements still have to happen for Blackwell?
Yes, from the agreements that we've had so far, that's what will occur. It would be more so along their frontage improvements. But yes, they would still be responsible for First Street improvements.
They wouldn't be able to get to the corner then.
I would have to check to see if it would be a proportional contribution to require it up to the corner.
Yeah,
Yes.
most likely.
Yeah.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for Morgan? All right, we'll open up for public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? If you're on the phone and you're muted, you may need to hit *6. Be online or on the phone wish to comment. Anybody here in the audience? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is Michael Walters, 505 North First Street again. A lot of my concerns about this development are similar to the ones I expressed in the last PUD review. And building on some of the comments from the last one, I don't understand why alleviations are necessary. A developer earlier in this meeting on a different project, he actually stated that he didn't expect any issues with approval because he had no alleviations. So it's obvious that it can be done. And I don't think the number of times that a plan is revisited should have any influence at all about whether a development moves forward or not. There, as someone else stated previous to me too, these codes are in place for a reason, written by smart people. So approving alleviations across a number of units for you're trumping others' wise decisions, I think. Also, like, it sounds like these alleviations, like the half height, you're saying that it doesn't sound like much, but as a neighbor who is relying on the code to protect them, like, alleviations are there for a purpose. And I'd like to see those really reviewed and understood before just approving a number of them in a neighborhood. Also, like Kristen expressed in the previous PUD meeting, I have concerns about my how my front yard is going to be impacted by these First Street developments. Someone clarified that the 9 feet that we've continually been told we're receiving is actually a ditch. I don't want my front yard to be taken up by a 9-foot ditch. And my front yard's been there for a long time. So those are just some concerns I have, and I hope you hear me and take them into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else online or on the phone that wishes to comment? Going once, going twice. Anybody in the audience wish to comment? Okay, hearing none. Last time, anybody on the phone or online that wish to comment? Okay, we will close the public comments. Darren, or you guys want to respond?
Go first, actually. I'll follow.
Thank you. The only one I made a note on, and sorry if I missed something. Mr. Walter said he had the same concerns as before, pretty much anti-alleviation. And alleviations exist for reasons. They were put in the code by smart people because they know one set of rules doesn't fit all situations. And as you know, one piece of property is different from the next, from the next, from the next, from the next. So these alleviations build in flexibility in the decision makers' hands to address the uniquenesses of properties. There is, just because they're there doesn't mean they have to be taken. But to say we don't ever want to entertain alleviations, that's a policy interpretation that the commission has. It's just not utilizing the full code. It's saying we're only going to look at this part of the code. We're not going to give any validity to the alleviation part. So there are important reasons legally and functionally why alleviations exist, and invite you to consider that as you consider this proposal, which is pretty straightforward. Darrell said it best, and he may want to talk about this. First Street, we've gotten a little loose with our terms. All of us, staff, decision makers, and the applicants. First Street width is going to be about the same. First Street's not being widened. First Street location is being shifted. When it's rebuilt, it'll be shifted 9 feet approximately to the east. West. Yes, west. Thank you.
Further away from
that will result in 9 feet more, like somebody said, between the pavement and the people's homes to the east. So it's not additional land, no change of right of way, no change of ownership of anything. The purpose of that shift is so that there can be I'm going to use it through borrow ditch, or a place where the stormwater, including snow, to be placed so that drainage occurs better than it has in the past. As you know, those swales or borrows collect the stormwater and they naturally treat it by filtration. And that's the preferred method by EPA. So they perform a very valuable and important function. What happens when borrow ditches or swales are filled in? They don't function as designed. They don't treat the stormwater. They don't collect the stormwater as designed. So some landowners may not want 9 feet of borrow in front of their place. And we recognize that. However, the 9 feet with the borrow is in the right of way. It belongs to the city. And it's to collect stormwater off the road, the east half of the road. So there are things that we like in the codes and things that we don't like, but everything has a purpose. So thank you for hearing us. We think that Blackwell is a really solid project, and we think that alleviations have their place. And invite you to consider that as you consider improving the Blackwell development. Thank you.
I would just add to that notes. They're both technically hillside projects. There's some terrain to deal with here. McCall has some steep sites to deal with, but some of them are steep, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're hillside. I would say that these are a hillside project. All that means is it's just challenging, right? It's not a flat piece of dirt. So it invites a degree of challenge for the engineers to lay this stuff out and comply. It is infill. I'm not saying that cities would roll out the red carpet for you, but an infill project has a certain ambiance about it. That is, thank you for infilling and developing this property that's in our core. And so I'm not saying that we get away with a bunch of things. I'm just saying that infill is typically looked at a little bit more inviting. Yes, please come in. Thank you for developing this. Still got to do it the way we want it, but thank you. Anyway, that's all I want to say. Michael brought up the half building height rule. I originally looked at this. This was a conversation that happened in the last P&Z, which was my interpretation of why that exists is so that when you have a subdivision that goes in right next to a neighbor, you can't build a building that dominates and overshadows their backyard. That would be a threat to me, and it'd be horrible, right? So you got somebody building a 3-story structure that's 5 feet away from your property line. So that's not the case here. We're building internally. This half building height rule is not a problem. We'll say that. It's a topic between homes that we control, internal to our development. So it's not somebody half building height rule against an existing neighbor, right? And their residents. We're far enough away to comply all around them. Right? So it's a strictly a building to building internal issue that we control. So anyway, that was a point made in the last hearing, and I thought it was appropriate to bring that up. Yeah, I won't even bring up. Yeah, it's the bar. It's a win. The road is moving 9 feet further away from your home. So just take that as a win, and it's going to be a barge for the purpose. Thank you, guys.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Any more questions, I should say, for the applicant?
You know, we've talked about density in both of these developments for the last 3 months. You haven't come back with any reduction in density in this one.
We can't do it. And I'll add to that. I thought, and I just want to put it out there, I thought you guys were okay with this project last time. We did improve it, and we made some, and it's 2 improvements, the added depth of parking and the widening of the road, of the gap between the buildings. But when Woodmore has more land, more units, right? I don't want to use this word, it's too cavalier, but when you have a smaller site and you have 6 units, to go from 6 to 5, can't do it. So that's the reason.
Why can't you do it?
It's too impactful to our project.
To the finances of the project.
Don't want to say that, but yes.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
We want to hear that. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
So
So the bottom line is your finances are impacted. So you don't want to do it.
it's triangular shape. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd actually broaden that a little bit, because in order to pay the hundreds of thousands of dollars for First Street improvements, you have to have some money to do that. And so it's not just all profit. So it's actually affects our ability to make the improvements that the city desires, requires for your development.
So, but we want to hear that. If that's the issue, then that's what.
It doesn't pencil.
Yeah, okay, sure. I think we understand economics and they're good enough that we figure that out. If you help us along and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, sometimes it's not something we're supposed to say, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
That is the very real reality of it. Back to the point of First Street improvements. If Blackwell is approved and Woodmore was delayed, Blackwell is responsible for their frontage. So I don't believe it's a proportionate anything. It's from this line all the way to this line. You are responsible for that. It's more economy to scale. Both projects are doing it at the same time. They can pitch in, pay the same contractor to do it. You understand that. But Blackwell is responsible for the frontage, the improvement to First Street from its property line to property line. And then same with Woodmore. So just want to make that was what I forgot. So thanks.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we're good. All right, commissioners, any other questions for staff? All right, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sleep there.
Yeah, we up time. Okay, commissioners, discussion.
So our big concerns about this one were the roadway and the driveway, and the applicant has corrected those, what we perceived as deficiencies.
And I do like.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and based on, the size of the lot, the constraints of the lot, I understand that there's less flexibility to reduce density and things like that. So I'm comfortable with it as proposed.
And I do like that they, even though it's minor, they do have some more space between the buildings. That's a little plus.
Well, I don't have any problem with that, with their answers and anything that they said at all. So, we all got to understand the economics of taking something out of a project. It just doesn't work out when you do that. But they were honest with us and told us that right up front. So, yeah, no problem with their answers.
Dana, Ryan, what's your thoughts? Whoever's first.
Go for it, Dana.
No, I agree with Liz. Yeah, I have no issues with what they have come back with.
I think that's somewhat where I'm at also. I mean, I take a little exception to kind of the lot size and the minimum street frontage. Yeah, I wish the project was less dense, but I also understand that there's some limitations to that. But you know, maybe not trying to sneak an R8 density into that piece of property would have probably been more appropriate if we would have backed that off a little bit. But you know, they've made the concessions and came back to us with the changes that we asked for. So I guess I'm comfortable moving forward.
Dave? Are you still looking for something?
No, there's a. Seems odd to not be consistent. These projects are connected, they're built together. I honestly like,
We have to take
I
them
don't think
individually.
we-
We have to take them individually, though.
Yeah.
Oh, they're separate. We have to take them individually.
okay, I don't think we're responsible for the fiscal, how it works out fiscally. The 50-foot lot width should be consistent between these two developments. It's my opinion.
Tony?
I really don't have anything other comment on what they said. I'm satisfied with everything that they addressed everything as appropriately as they can. I mean, only so far you can push this envelope, and I think that we have and they have.
And I think, I mean, on the average, we do get the lot size, even though it's kind of a different formula to get there, but it is the formula that we have within the code. Obviously, with the triangular shaped lot, it kind of makes it tricky to use that, but this one does have a fair amount of open space on basically the corners of the triangle that is going to give more space, plus the extra space between the homes. So I mean, you got to obviously take that into consideration when we're looking at lot sizes. I mean, if we can, count that overall, they are coming with the 5,000 square foot lot or approximately. So
Not the 50-foot frontage.
not the 50-foot frontage, but
Yeah,
again, the limitations of the triangle causes that
where you.
issue.
But it's caused because we're trying to fit more places in there into a triangle, right? Like if you had the full acre, you could probably make it work. So I mean, I understand what Commissioner Petty's wrestling with, because I'm wrestling with it too. The other piece of me though is saying, look, originally when we asked them to go back to the drawing board and fix a few things, they did that. I wish we would have asked to readjust the density in the first go around. Because it seems a little unfair right now to say, to do that. But I do agree with Commissioner Petty on the other side too, that, we have to take these things individually, and I can certainly do that and disassociate from the first project. But that's a challenge. And I wish we could appropriately kind of assign the density correctly. So.
If there's no other discussion, I'm open for a motion.
I move to recommend approval of PUD 2305 and subdivision 2304 to the McCall City Council with the staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Brian, do we do a roll call on this one?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yep.
Commissioner Petty,
No,
Commissioner Rock,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinzer,
No.
Commissioner Paul.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's see, now we're down to business, and let's see, I think we can hopefully punch through these seem. So we have design review 2409, 440 Timbercrest. Yeah.
They're like you encouraging people. Keep that up.
Thanks for your time. Bye. You need my name and.
Name and address, please, yeah.
Tim Lynch with My Architect, residence or business address?
Wherever I find you if I have to.
504 Main Street, Suite 480, Lewiston, Idaho. And I'm here representing Kendra Johnson of 1052 East Territory Street, Meridian, Idaho. And nobody's in 7 years. So the first thing I want to do is I want to commend McCall city staff, especially Meredith, Morgan, and for their assistance in working through all of these codes and issues that are specific to McCall. They've helped quite a bit. So since this is am I just presenting you an overview of the project?
Just to go over you.
Basically, I'm having to present the DRC to you guys because the building is over 5,000 square feet. And so we have laid it out on the site and we have met our allowable lot coverage. We're under our allowable lot coverage. We fit within our property setbacks. It is a large home. It's designed to be a multi-generational vacation home. So there's multiple bedrooms, suites, multiple bathroom suites. The only issue that I know that we have outstanding right now with Morgan has to do with the driveway. There was, I interpreted the roadway to property line driveway width incorrectly. The homeowners want to develop this house in a couple phases. So we're presenting the final build out phase to show that it would fit. But in phase one, the garage, there would be a garage. We have a set of plans we can pull up. There would be a garage that later would be converted to bedroom suites, and an additional garage, well, replacement garage would be added on the north end of the house. Because of this and the proximity to Timbercrest Loop, it does create some issues with the driveway. I think it's slide 1. Yeah. Plan. There we go. Back one. So this is the issue. This is the issue that I'm working through with Morgan, trying to determine how best to do that. Because our driveway has to be 12 feet at the property line, or 20 feet at the property line, not 20 feet at the edge of the roadway. And in order to do that work, what we have suggested to Morgan is that we would create a driveway for this garage in phase 1. And then when we did phase 4, we would remove that driveway and relocate it to the north, meet the requirements of one driveway per property. That's not indicated on these drawings. I just wanted to point that out, that we're in the process of working through that. The other thing we're in the process of working through is our snow storage is shown on the 12th easement, which is the city snow storage. So we may have to shift our home a little further onto the property to give us some more snow storage. Shift the building this way to give us some more snow storage in the middle of the property. So I just wanted to point out those are the two issues that we are working through with the city as they've been reviewing these and putting their report together for you.
That summarizes it.
Okay.
You said 4 phases?
Yeah, and so if you can go one more slide. Okay, so phase 1 would be the main part of the house. A garage here with bedrooms above. Phase 2 would be to do some more bedrooms on the second level. Phase 3 would be to fill in these bedrooms, and then phase 4 would be to build the storage. And this is gonna have to be 3 and 4 are gonna have to be at the same time, because once this parking is gone, this parking has to be in place according to the CCNRs. We have to have the parking indoors.
So you're presenting it all at once right now, or?
Well, the reason we're presenting it all at once right now is because we want to build the slab for this, but not the structure for this, just for the economics. But we don't want to, what we're concerned about was we didn't want to present this and then come back in 3 years and try to do this and find out that something in city code changed and we weren't allowed to do this. So we thought it was better to present and get approval for the final build out than to present just phase 1 and then permit it, try to through multiple permits. We'll still have to do multiple permits because there will be additional construction, but we wanted to come through the design review to show you the final build out so that there wasn't, oh, we didn't know you were going to do that, or we didn't know you were going to have that. So, and like I said, again, didn't want to have, plus we had to make sure that in the final build out, we didn't exceed the setback requirements. We didn't exceed the lot coverage requirements of the zone as well. So.
Okay, commissioners, any other question? Okay, I think. All right, thank you. Ryan, staff report?
All right, thank you. I ran out of time to make PowerPoint for this one.
I feel slighted.
Apologize. You guys would like to review the residential design standards and design review criteria. Those are starting on page 7 of the staff report. I will skip over the
quick version. Yeah.
Give us a cliff note.
Yeah, so this is a 6,500-ish square foot house. Along Timbercrest Loop. As discussed, they're planning on doing some phasing of this. My analysis is really built around the final phase as presented. And the conditional approval stating that they have 5 years, so long as the final phase is consistent with the original plans, the approval can stay alive for that long. And then, yeah, the snow storage along the roadway needs to be revised. With that, I will answer any questions.
I think you addressed mine. It would be the time allowed. It's not the normal 18 months or whatever, but we're going to address that. They have that time to conclude. That's the only question I had on that. Commissioners, any other questions for Brian?
You said they just have to move the house back to get the snow storage.
I believe that's the case. Yeah, we're gonna have to move it back on the property. Right now, we're at that 20-foot setback, but we're gonna have to move it back a few, probably 5 feet or so to get some storage along the front. And then probably move it to the south. Right now, we've balanced our required side to side setbacks, so we can move it to the south. We can be as close as 15 feet on the south, but we don't move it that much. Probably move it about 10 feet. We can get more snow storage along the northern side of the. That's where the driveway.
Which will be the driveway.
Which would be the driveway side, so we can push to that rather than trying to use the front of the house.
Yep.
Yes, that would be our preferred direction.
Thanks, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions before we go to Morgan? All right, Morgan.
Commissioners. So I did review this application before today or yesterday. And I did request a stormwater report, and it looks like the report was forwarded to me. It didn't get sent to me when it was first issued by the engineer, so I have not had a chance to review that yet. But it's not near a shoreline, so just bringing that up. They will need a larger water meter currently from what is shown, so work to do to tie into the water main potentially. And then, as Tim mentioned, just figuring out the driveway, constructing the driveway and then moving it will just require 2 permits to be issued. So just bringing that to their attention. And that's all I have.
So those changes will be done in your final
Correct.
approvals like normal. Yep. Commissioners, any other questions for Morgan? All right, we'll open up for public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application?
Hi,
You're on.
this is Lori Souza, 450 Timbercrest Loop. I am the HOA president of Broken Timber subdivision. We gave approval for this design approval under the assumption that it would be completed within 18 months. We did not approve a 5-year plan. We did not know about that at all.
We didn't know.
Yeah, we were never told it was phased. They actually sent, per their design approval request to the HOA Association, they said they would be completed within 18 months once they received their permit. Because our HOA says 12 months, and we know 12 months is a little tight, but 18 months we approved. We did not approve phases or 5 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There anybody else online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? Or anybody here in the audience wish to comment regarding this application? No. Okay. We'll, one last time, anybody online or on the phone wish to comment? All right, we'll close the public comment. Commissioners, any other questions for staff or the applicant? Yes. Obviously there was, well, would you like to rebuttal anything? I guess there was just that one comment regarding the HOA.
I will get together with Kendra and Craig, and we'll respond directly to Ms. Souza on her concerns with the CCNRs and the design approval.
Okay.
We'll make that right with them.
Okay. Commissioners, so any other questions for staff or the applicant before we close public comment or public hearing? All right, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Aye.
I think overall it's pretty clear. Now on the conditions of approval, we just wondering, should we have something in there that they come to an agreement with the HOA, or is that already in there?
There's not a condition included regarding this. Generally, do not govern.
We don't go there.
Yeah.
It's up to them.
Regulations.
Yeah.
And specifically on a phasing plan or something along those lines, I would want to be responsible for long-term remembering to ask about it.
That condition about 5 years.
That is up to you guys. That is the city's approval. That is a totally different thing from HOA approval, if they want to do that on their own.
Okay, so
Good. That's part of the
our
motion.
5 years would cover their 18 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would think there would be something they could work out, either some sureties of some sort. I mean, that's between them, but it's a nice home that's gonna fit within that side of the home, within that area. I mean, it borders Whitetail, there's big homes in there. It's gonna fit, I think, within that area. I don't see it being a problem. Personally.
To approve DR 2409 with the staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
You have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Right. Motion item has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I know we're past a little bit at 8:30, but we got one last one. I think they've suffered through the long night, so I think we're gonna go ahead and move forward with that if everybody's in agreement.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Remember, we'll open the, and this one is a public hearing, right? Yeah, you got, we'll open the motion, we open the public hearing for design review 2411.
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beat me.
Okay. I'm guessing we have Andrew Wheeler here.
Andrew Wheeler, 9201 West State Street, Boise, Idaho. 83704. And members of the commission, thanks for your time tonight. We're presenting a single family residence. A single family residence off of the northeast of Elo Road and Highway 55, right off of 9th Road there. So we're right on the boundary of that impact area. And the property is about 4,900 square feet of conditioned plus only about 8,000. Do you mind shooting a little thing? Oh, there you go. So I'll kind of rush through this. You probably have a lot more slides than we really necessarily need, but overall, the project is a single level designed to be amongst the trees. So we spent ample time, surveying existing trees that essentially build a courtyard, through here. So if you hit that next slide there. Existing conditions, here's Elo Road, Knights Road, here's the 5-acre property. Next one. Little zoomed in, just show you some existing conditions, pretty large mature trees, 90, 100 feet trees. Cycle through that. Next slide, please. There's an existing home on the west that we can barely see in the trees, not standing on the site, and then one here on the south. So if you go to the next slide, just to kind of show you the backtrack, our process, the whole goal is to create a wing with bedrooms and a master suite wing around the courtyard with a detached ADU that's separated between the garage for that privacy. Next slide. And, these are showing the existing homes around the property, and we're trying to, locate that. This property grades to the east. So taking that in consideration and just kind of scale as far as how big that looks on a 5-acre property. Next slide, please. A circulation throughout the site, access off of Knights Road, and not taking any season driveway in, and we are taking out some, which we'll look at here in a minute, where the home will go. But locating that in an area that has the most open space. Next slide. This primarily is showing, trying to buffer around on the perimeter in the summer wind, walk the winter wind, in that courtyard space. Next slide. And so this is the existing topography. It's kind of hard to see, but each little black dot is a trunk of a tree there. Knights Road, there's overhead power existing, so we would be undergrounding from there to a transformer. And this is that general area where we're locating the new structure. Next slide to the site. So here's the site plan utility plan. The driveway comes in here on the northeast and then loops back around. That's our transformer location. We have the ADU single car garage and then a 2-car garage with the boat bay. Master bedroom wing, main living space, kitchen, living, dining, and the primary bedrooms to the septic field to the south here with just kind of a camping area that's just general and loose camping area there. Snow storage is in these 3 locations. We do have a civil drainage retention pond in that lower right, which we'll look at here in a second. This is a future phase shop to be considered at a later date, but they just wanted the opportunity. Slide. This is the civil plan, so area of impact in this dash border around, and then this is the flow line of where we're, draining away from the building, retaining the trees in this clear space, and then we have this additional retention area down here to handle that stormwater on site, and then showing again those snow storage areas. This shows where we're removing trees, where we're keeping trees. So here's a couple, several trees that we're taking out, and then the trees that we're keeping around the site. Next slide. And this shows kind of the overall floor plan, square footage breakdown, 4,900 square feet of livable. This is that inner courtyard area. Mostly just looking into that, designed to kind of be private on the outside and public on the inside. So it's that kind of private space that you're looking into that courtyard of trees. And stop me if you need detailed questions, but next slide. Elevations. So we're proposing, a metal standing seam roof, a horizontal metal at the base for snow protection, darker vertical siding, board batten or other. That's have determined exactly what we'll do, but a vertical siding of sorts, more of a modern look with that darker siding, and then a blue Choctaw stone intermixed with that metal along the base, as well as fireplaces. Next slide. Same elevations of the west on the bottom and the south on the top. Slide. Again, similar perspectives. This is the ADU unit. This is the garage component, and then this is the master bedroom wing. So that's that kind of northeast corner. This is the front entry, the ADU garage here. It's kind of just that driveway that loops around the main front entrance here. And then you've got that kind of dining space.
Is that a metal roof on the ADU?
Yeah, the whole thing, metal, yeah. Well, we're heating the driveway. I didn't, we're actually, Well, they did come up and we tried to move it away but no, we're gonna heat the driveway for that very reason. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what in there, that would all be heated. And with that concludes the Schimmel cabin. Stand for any questions and look forward to getting this project going.
Commissioners, any questions for Andrew? Okay, I think we're good.
Excuse me, we have a question. Are you opening it up to?
No, it's not the public. We'll get.
Okay.
No. Staff report.
All right, yes, thank you, Brian Parker, City Planner. This is Design Review 2411. Again, ran out of time to get a PowerPoint made up for this one, but it is roughly 8,000 square foot total, including garage and accessory dwelling unit, single family residence, which is large. They done a good job of breaking it up into various smaller connected buildings and siting it around trees, using natural materials. Really generally meets McCall's design standards. Specifically regarding the snow sliding into the driveway, that is something that comes up occasionally, is not prohibited by code. It is something we find to be a less than ideal design solution, but that happens. It is low pitched enough. I think they could add some snow cleats to it very easily. Fix that if the roof is designed adequately to hold snow. Other than that, I really didn't have any staff discussion. There were a couple of conditions of approval based on comments from the airport and the
Hey, commissioners, any questions for Brian?
What was the comments from the airport?
that it is generally close enough to the airport that they like to know that a building is there. So they should fit a lot of form for the FAA.
Oh, okay. It was some height deal or something like that.
So there's plenty of trees in there. They ain't getting, they're not getting close to it.
I wouldn't think so, but
All right, any other questions for Brian? All right, Morgan.
Commissioners, so this application did submit a drainage report. And it met most of our requirements. I had a few comments back to them that need to be addressed for final engineering approval. And then eventually they'll need access permits from the county prior to construction, since it's a county owned and maintained roadway. And that's all I have on this application.
Just for my information, where does the melted snow go in the driveway?
I believe it all drains to that drainage pond. We talked about it a little bit, on where all the drainage goes, but it should be captured on site and not and not off site. Yeah, yeah, with a project this size, they have to detain the 10-year storm on their property.
All right, any other questions for Morgan or Ryan? Applicant? All right, that we'll open up for public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment? And I'm not seeing anybody online or on the phone that would probably do that. So with that, here's the public comment. Will you please state your name and address?
I'm Mark McClellan, 685 Knights Road, and my wife Ann McDonald is with me as well. Our questions, our property is separated from the proposed build site by a long, narrow, approximately 2-acre lot. Our home site sits along the southeastern edge of our property line. And based on the positioning of this proposed large structure closer to their northeastern property line, we're concerned about the potential impact, the aesthetics of our property, and if someone were to build then on this narrow strip of land between us. We realize this is an aesthetic issue. It may not, I'm sure the proposed building is in compliance with that. We understand that. We like the look of what they've proposed. Certainly don't have problems with that. Our problem really is about what is left in terms of a compromised building site for the strip of land between ours and theirs. That's probably something that we can deal with, speaking with them directly or with their architect to see what potentially would be impact to their property and impact to ours if someone were to try to build in between. The only other question we had was regarding positioning of a well on the property to provide adequate water for a house of that size that's going to be utilized by multiple people. Just curious about what hydrology research has been done to this point to determine that there's going to be adequate well water for the project. So those are basically our concerns and questions. Oh, my wife had one.
It's a low flow area.
Historically, that ridge line up there has a compromised. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm guessing there's nobody else here to comment. What's that? More them all out. You like to?
Yeah.
Brian, could you pull up that site plan, that utility? Yeah, I appreciate the comments. In regards to the well, we do have a well driller under contract to perform that work later this summer. There was discussions that should the flow not be met, then we have a separate cistern holding tank, to be able to pump that up, and then they can use that. So that's as far as we've really gotten with that. Other than, yeah, that's all we know at this point, really. But that's our strategy. Should that happen, then we'll just have a cistern tank that can hold storage in the interim. As far as the metal roof on that, we're also going to put those brackets on there, rails to hold the snow back. So that's intended to stay on the roof as much as we can keep it there. And then positioning the house on the other lot, happy to talk with you guys and see what that looks like. I mean, one challenge for us is building within the trees. So any movement is really challenging of like, how far you start to encroach into trees. And so that's one of the reasons why it's placed where it is. And also the driveway, like where we could put the driveway without having to take trees out to get that in there. So that was a big that. And then from the site plan perspective, looking at it, it's, house on the south, vacant lot on the north. And they're, our clients are looking for privacy. So it seemed like a little inching it north made the most sense and amongst the other factors of the lift and the trees. So, but if you need help designing a house on that lot, happy to work with that. But yeah, those are, but yeah, let us know, what we can do. It would be pretty difficult to move that further south without taking out more trees and kind of compromising the integrity of that courtyard space. But with that, I think that's all the questions.
It's a weird shaped lot.
Yeah, it is a little strange. One question I did have for staff, possibly, or the commission is fire suppression. As far as any fire suppression requirements or additional storage that we might need or anything to that effect. And that was just something that came up as a comment from our builder with solidified. So we wanted to just nail that down if there's any.
I don't think it's a private.
I can address it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not like, so fire district would prevail over all based on if there's like weird requirements that they might need for response time, but everything is super close for them. There's only like 2 engines. But we have been noticing with increasing frequency, especially in neighborhoods like this, that it's really difficult to obtain insurance on the property due to wildfire risk. And that's been changing monthly at this point. So it's really more of a look at the insurance risk and the investment on your side and make a decision at that point and then base it on what the fire district has to say as well as your baseline. But we have been seeing this neighborhood be dropped among others in the jurisdiction, so.
Excellent. I appreciate the comments.
Yeah, and that lot, those lots in there were all subdivided over the years. So that's why you're seeing that originally it was a bigger parcel and they carved off pieces of it, and it's typical in that whole area.
Yeah.
They actually sold this lot not too long ago. I think probably to these buyers. I didn't represent the buyers. I had no conflict on here, but I had the listing. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a variety of shapes and sizes in there just over the years when they've split them up.
Thank you.
Right. All right, commissioners, any other questions for staff? All right, I make a motion that we close public hearing.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussions? I mean, like I said, I'm very familiar with the property and walked it many times. It is a big piece. It does seem to be pretty much right, somewhat near the middle. I mean, it's heavily wooded, nice big trees. I think they've done what they can to avoid cutting them down. There's a lot of trees in there. I think, it's a big home. I think since it is one story, it'll really kind of blend in there and won't really stand out much as you might think on a big house, so.
I like it. Spent money engineering.
Yeah. At a low profile, because it kind of sloped slightly to the rear, but I think the people to the west probably will barely see it, because I think they drop down down a little bit, but it is a big piece of property. I don't have any concerns. Obviously, they'll get whatever they need for the septic approval through the county health department, and then the water they're running.
I wonder about the driveway, heated driveway. You said you have to have a catch basin of some sort to make it go through what engineering wants.
Correct. They need a detain or retain tenure storm, so that would be all the flows on the property of all impervious.
We can't talk anymore. It's staff. Close public comment. So, yeah, there is on their plan in the bottom corner, there is a catch basin. So
Never mind.
So, yeah, remember, I'm trying to remember, we can't do that when we close public
No, I know.
comment.
New rule. I've been here for a couple meetings, you know.
We get back in their habit, but yeah, they do have a one corner of the property, they only go to the southeast corner of the property, they were showing a catch basin in there. And they are retaining the snow on the roof as well, so it's not like it's all sliding there and melting, so.
But I didn't bring it up.
Bill is.
I think it's really well designed for the piece of land and appreciate the amount of effort that has gone into it to preserve the trees and keep it, as natural as possible. I hear the concerns about, water flow and water pressure and that kind of thing. I don't know that there's much that we can do on our end about that.
No other questions or concerns? I'm open for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve DR 24-11 with the recommendations of staff and with the recommendations of staff. Yeah. We'll stop right there.
Second.
All right, we have motion and seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries, is approved. All right, and we got one last, I think we got a little bit of one sign.
What's been installed deviates from that a little bit because they did a DIY method and figured out it was really hard to do an arch shape. So there's not an arch shape in the one that exists out there. That's the one. And then I have a couple that are threatening to get in the hopper, but to do in the coming month.
Now, when they did approval with the barber pole.
Yes, it's a certified
Even it is.
to have a barber pole, and it is under the awning and it turns off. She is not there.
Right,
It's right straight from Fog Lifters. Just, no, we don't have that one.
Stickers.
Oh, okay. We have to approve these or something or anything?
No, just
say they look good and that's it. All right.
okay.
Okay, now I don't have a clock to work with here.
Well, not yet, not yet. Yes. Yep.
Survey, a shoreline and a scenic route only, so those will all be on. You have a small retouch of Third Street permit. We'll have potentially a small subdivision on Freeway. Are we gonna have the final plat for July, or do they have to come back for more?
You shall see.
We shall see.
And when we can. Mill Street
One that we continued, did we continue on tonight? We did that one.
Mill
in
Street.
August. Mill Street.
Or Lake Street, I'm sorry, it's on, that's Lake Street, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
That one's for next month.
We're on Fairway.
Like the last one.
Corner David.
Oh, yeah. Forget about that one.
Yeah, and then we're getting into the heavy construction season, so looking off a few long-range plans. So there may be an upcoming meeting in the summer where we plan for a work session so that you guys can get a preview of what the next couple of years will look like. We don't really know when we're going to launch the impact fee study. I don't know when we're going to need to talk to you about the climate action plan, but those things will all be coming up. So we'll be talking about greenifying our design standards, greenifying the community, taking care of nature, that kind of stuff. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How can we learn? And then we're feeling maybe a training session for next winter on a few things. I have a list.
Okay.
It was ominously.
Yeah.
Injecting at the end, wasn't it? Huh?
We feel threatened.
Okay, Tony, take it away, Tony. There's a clock over here.
Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 9:06.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. We are
Thanks,
done.
guys.
Thank you.